Hello and welcome to my Friday Night Live entitled A Year of Shadow Work, Facing Your Fears. So I am Rachel. I run Rachel's Reiki Healing and Beyond, and I am a teacher, a healer, modern mystic and author. Now I'm quite pleased at the fact that I've said that because for me personally, that is about one of my fears. So it's quite apt. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with tech. So it's quite apt that I've actually remembered to say that. So this evening, I would really like you guys to get involved where you can. I am broadcasting and into Facebook. She's lovely. There you go. I'm back on Facebook. So I would really love you guys to get involved with comments as we go along. Hi, Debbie. About what fears and you've been facing, about what fears you may be facing. You can't quite work through it. I want to hear your successes. I want to hear where you're struggling. What I'm going to do is to talk about what shadow work is, why this year has been about shadow work, how you can work with it rather than working against it. I'll talk about a bit of my own experience, and I'd really like to hear about your experiences too. So whether you're on catch up, on IGTV, or whether you're on YouTube, hi, because this will go on YouTube later, let me know in your comments that you're here, say hi, likes, all of that type of thing. It does make a big difference to me personally because it lets me know who's watching. It kind of feels nice to know that I'm not just talking to myself. And also, it is good for the algorithms. Like, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to be one of those people who tries to put it under something else. You know, everybody is struggling to be seen at the moment on all of the platforms. So if you can like, it makes a massive deal of difference to suggesting how, you know, if you've taken one thing out of this evening, a comment or a like will just make all the difference to me being seen by somebody else who may enjoy this evening and get something out of it. Okay, so I'm going to start where I said I would start, which is a discussion about shadow work. Hey Emma, so any questions that you've got as we go along, please feel free to say. Okay, and now Insta is catching up. Here, Insta's back. So shadow work. I think the term shadow work puts a lot of people off and immediately puts a lot of people into a space of fear, immediately just with that name. And actually, it is about fear, but it's not about like demons or monsters or anything weird like that. What it's actually about is our own personal demons. I'm a great believer in our own personal demons. You know, it's all about looking at and facing our own personal fears and aspects of our personality which we have grown to think of as a shadow, aspects of our personality which we think are bad or make us weak, or you know, aspects of our shadow that we've been taught by society really aren't good. I'm having trouble with Insta, so if you're watching me on Insta, I may switch it off because it just doesn't seem to be picking up if I have any more issues with it. So sorry if that happens. Hi Linda, hi. So when we look at our personality, there's going to be aspects of our personality which might get on other people's nerves, where we've been taught we're too. And I'm sure you guys can give examples, and please do if this applies to you, or something that you're too. I've been told many times that, and this isn't, I'm going to get rid of Insta, that this isn't a show off. I've been told many times that I'm too intelligent. Okay, I speak using too long a words, and that I've had that said to me by lots of people my whole life, and it's actually gave me a block around speaking to people because I was really concerned that I didn't want to speak down to people. I don't want to dumb down the way that I speak. You know, I've not had some, you know, I've had a very good education, but not, you know, private education. No, I've had a very good standard education. So, you know, for me, that's an aspect of my personality which I was told I was too my whole life. Told I was too ditzy and dizzy at times, which actually wasn't even true. It was just in my particular family, I might have been a little bit away with the fairies at times. So there's probably aspects within your personality which you've been told are too something. Are too you're too loud, you're too gregarious, you're too quiet, you're not confident enough. Really? Well, that might be something to do with your criticism. You're too whatever. Okay, aspects of your personality where you're told you're annoying, certain aspects are annoying or irritating. And what I think is really important to remember is that too much, that too annoying, those aspects of your personality are too like that for that person who was giving you that criticism. Now, it's quite interesting the families that we are born into, and I do believe in our soul groups coming together and us choosing to be born into our family group for whatever reason, because it may be that you're there to bounce off of each other and to kind of highlight things in each other which need healing or need work, and almost to aggravate each other into healing, if that makes sense. Or you're there to support each other, but there'll be a reason why you've chosen to be born into the situation that you were with, around the people that you were. And I use the word family because it may not be family. It may be that your family was constructed differently. So it's interesting that you're born into those groups and with those people who might have difficulty with aspects of your personality. And I think also those aspects sometimes when, and as a parent, when you've got kids yourself, or even a sibling living with other people, that might be okay in small parts, but when you're living with somebody, sometimes that can get a lot. Okay. And that's the other time when you're told to this, to that. And I'm not going to say I don't find some aspects of my kids' personalities too much sometimes. I really try to keep a handle on the way that I react to it. And I try to react in a different way. I'm not going to say I'm perfect because I'm sure stuff slips through, even though I try hard. And I'm sure that happens with all of us, you know, sort of thinking about the fact that we're human. But when we look at those aspects of personalities that are born into our family or of our own personality, that's the shadow side of yourself that you're looking at. Generally, we think of shadow work as being those uglier parts of our personality. Okay, so ugly parts of our personality are might extend to things like anger. It might extend to, but you know, ugliness can come in many forms, and you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So as such, ugliness is in the eye of the beholder. So it's to do with the way that people view you and their understanding of you. And as those of you who have worked with me, either one-to-one or in some of these sort of group sessions before, what you'll know about me is that I work from a logical yet an emotional space. So the logical part of me as a hypnotherapist knows that our personalities are pretty much formed by the age of 3, and up until about the age of 7, when our brainwaves really start to change, and we are sponges. We very much are sponges. So if we're repeatedly told something, either by school, because we do go to school very early in this country, in comparison to many other countries, you know, and school teachers will have a large influence on that. So if you're told something enough times, it's going to stick. And if you're told something even once in quite a stressful situation, that's going to have a massive impact as well. Okay, so there's going to be aspects of your personality that you're going to really struggle with. Okay, now as a healer, I'm somebody who generally has spent the last, so I started to do Reiki in my late 20s and in my early 40s. So, you know, I've probably 13, 14 years of healing. And that started off, as most of us do, really looking at the physical, then sort of delving more into the emotional. And past that point, I really started to look at my mindset and how to change my mind. And a lot of that came when I started to get really stressed balancing my new work, which is this work. And I thought, but this is what I wanted to do. Why isn't this working? My stresses all came from my mindset and the way that I was applying myself to my lifestyle. So I've spent a long time really delve, and I love it. I love taking apart my personality and my mindset just as much as I like working with clients. So I really genuinely am somebody who faces stuff on quite a regular basis. Having said that, wow, this last couple of years have been I don't know, please let me know if you guys have had the same thing. The last couple of years have been a complete doozy. Like, I thought last year was bad enough. Looking back in retrospect, you know, I had a prem baby and I nearly died from an illness when I had her. So, you know, it took me a long time to recover and a long time to get myself back together. So, you know, I can kind of lay that on top. And then this year has just taken it to another level. And I think as any of us who are empaths and any of us who are healers or sensitive, we've known ourselves that there's a shift going on, that there's a general mass awakening that we're being pushed into, that there's all these extreme things happening in society in order to push us forward into the type of society that we are praying for, that we want, and that we ask for. So, you know, this is really where this is changing. And if you watched one of my previous videos, which was about how the empath vibration is changing, empaths are no longer here to anchor in the fifth dimension. We're no longer here to process everybody else's crap for them. We are here to show other people the way and to bring balance. We're stepping in a completely different way. And in order to do some of that, we're going to have to be seen a little bit more. So, you know, I did, believe me, when I first started doing this video work, I did it with like gritted teeth. I was like, damn, like I don't want to be seen on screen. Like, I have a real issue with talking to myself. Feels egotistical, all of that stuff. And so I really had to work on that. Now, since, strangely enough, since about Halloween, Sabbath of last year, I started to work through things of being seen and being heard in quite a deep way. So I'd gone through sort of like a consciousness and confidence around my mid-20s change. And I was a very shy teenager, very like quiet. I used to blush a lot, all of that type of stuff. Somebody would talk to me and I would blush, and I would be like, why the hell am I blushing? Now I'm blushing harder because I'm blushing. I would blush even harder if somebody said to me, you're blushing. I was like, yeah, thanks for that. So, you know, I've been through a layer of this. And as we know, when we're going through healing, there's another layer. So there was another layer to being seen, okay, for this last year for me. And I've been working through that, thinking, when the hell am I getting to the bottom of this? Like, I'm sure that I've sorted this mindset and that mindset. And, you know, really, those of you who do that sort of work or have worked with me before on this stuff, you know, really going through and trying to get to the nitty gritty of not just how it's manifesting itself, but why is it manifesting itself? What is it in me where there's something on an energetic level which still isn't working? And we all know that the more we do, maybe it might be Reiki road you're going down, healer's route you're going down. It might be that you're in psychic or spiritual development, or you're going through healing process for yourself. The more spiritually aware and energetically aware you become, the more fine-tuned you become to energetic shifts and energetic changes. So normally I'm somebody who would say, yeah, the moons don't affect me, not over this last year. They have absolutely affected me. And I don't know if anyone felt that the last eclipse off of the back of a pretty deep Samhain was quite, everything felt quite inflamed and quite difficult. And I've kind of been feeling in these kind of two minds at the moment as well, feeling on one hand really good, like really, really great and really amazing some days. And then I've had a really bad issue with sort of like a skin condition, which there's a whole load of irony that I'm not going to go into. This is not the place for that irony and for the universe doing a little bit of at me, basically. But I've been swinging between feeling really good and feeling really rubbish about this. I mean, really rubbish, depressingly rubbish about it, because it isn't nice, it isn't easy. I've been dealing with it since the summer. And it's interesting that also the skin condition came up when I was like trying to get to the bottom of being seen. Like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want people to see me not looking perfect. And that's a big issue, is this perfectionist issue. So when I'm looking at being seen, what I'm looking at is actually my underlying issue is perfection, is wanting to do everything like amazingly. And while I don't want to lower the standards of my work, and those of you who've ever worked with me or done anything else with me, one of my friends was like, oh, put out like an online sound healing session. And I was like, I tested it in one of the sound evenings and one of the healing evenings that I did sound. The sound wasn't good enough, the quality wasn't good enough, so that people at the other end weren't benefiting. I'm not going to charge someone for that. And they were really kind about the fact that I'd chosen to keep my standards and not to charge people for things that were below my standards, and that other people might fudge or do, or even not be aware that, you know, it just wasn't good enough. For me, the standard wasn't there. So, you know, I need to keep that part of me that strives to do everything to the very best of my ability. Some Japanese previous lives in there, and coupled with not letting that block me. Like, I need to bring balance to that. I spoke earlier about balance. Empaths will find a lot of this comes to balance within ourselves. The more we balance within ourselves, the more we'll help and balance society as well. Okay, so it's been really interesting that I didn't want to be seen, so I just thought, stuff this. I'm putting a post out, which if you scroll down, you'll find a post with me with all highs all over my face and saying, like, this is part of what's really making me miserable at the moment. My hormones are changing. Yes, perimenopause, and I've had hives coming up. You know, it's driving me insane. It's caused, the hives are then causing secondary issues as well, because they're unbelievably itchy, and I'm like, you know, I'm not very good at, like, I'm a deep sleeper, and yeah, it's not fun at all. So it's been waking me up at all hours with the itchiness and all of this type of stuff. So, you know, I've really struggled with it physically. I've also struggled with the fact that I'm a healer. Like, I should be able to get to the bottom of this, and I should be able to do this quick. Like, normally when I heal stuff, I don't do this with clients, but I'm really quite like, come on, Ray, it's just ding, bang, bosh, get on with this. And this healing, this has not allowed me to do this. Like, I'm having to approach this from a different way. And the second I start to really accept that I was pushing myself, that my perfectionist issues were affecting my own personal healing, and wanting to present a front for everyone. And the second I stopped presenting that front, I went, look, do you know what? This is what's going on with me. And you guys will quite often hear from me when I'm going through something, but I'll go through it and I'll say, this is what's going on. This is how I see myself going forward. This is how I'm taking myself out of this. This is how I'm working forward. That's how I normally share stuff. And I didn't have any way forward. Like, I was stuck in that. And so what I did was actually to face, like, a couple of really big fears for me. One of those was not being seen and looking good. And another one was not being being seen that maybe I don't have all of the answers to even my own healing journey. Maybe I need to reach outside and ask other people for help, etc., etc. So it's, you know, I've had a couple of really big fears around being seen, and I've been able to link them back into my perfectionism issues over the last few months, and that's really enabled me to get to the bottom of it. And it's kind of brought me to putting that out. Actually, putting that post out was a massive epiphany for me. That was a massive, like, this is the worst that people can see me as. And people were really nice. People made me cry with their compliments. And I was like, I'm not doing this for sympathy, guys. That's not why I'm doing this. I need to share this. This is something, like, I really feel in this moment that I need to share and to be honest with you about. And I had some really wonderful compliments that made me like cry, that made me really happy. I don't mind a good cry. They made me feel really good. And I thank anyone who may be watching this who did pop that on there. So you may have yourself an issue that you're working through, and you're like, okay, like, why isn't this happening for me? And it's because there's something else going on. Okay, now, the reason why it's important for empaths to be seen and to be heard at the moment, this isn't just my thing. I've got a lot of other healer friends, spiritual friends, witch friends who are going through this at the moment, where they are revealing these last parts of being seen. It might be that they've been hurt in the past, and actually they've stepped away, and they've got a bit of a front up, and this front looks really like, with like some classy attitude and all of this, but actually it still hides the fact that they've kept this space there on purpose because they've been hurt so much as a child, and keeping that space there. Something else that my husband and I were talking through this week actually was the fact that He was working hard in his business. His business did not do for his own blocks, and also in terms of everything that's been going on. His business, he had to close down his business that he hadn't long started before coronavirus hit. And his big thing has been that it doesn't matter what, I could provide an income. It doesn't matter what, I support my family, I support my kids. And he hasn't been able to do that. And actually, it was okay. It was more than okay. We got a payment holiday on the mortgage. We managed to get some benefits. Like that was a real, like for both of us, that was a real big thing, because I come from, my nan like could have had benefits, but my nan was the sort of woman who would rather work, I'm not kidding, 3 jobs than take any sort of benefit. That's how much pride she had. And I was like, stuff this, you know, like my nan's done that. My nan crippled herself, you know, ended up with a really stressful life where she died early from dementia. I'm sure that stress added to that. Like, why do we want to do that? Like, let's take what we're entitled to. We're not, you know, that's what we're entitled to, is when we're stuck in a hole to take that money. So there was a really big thing for him about being able to provide, and he couldn't. And you know what? We were okay. And there was this real big perfectionist issue with me, and I told everyone about it. And you know what? It was okay. Not just okay. Actually, it feels really good. Actually, it feels really freeing. You know, that's the worst thing that can happen, is that people think less of me, is that people, I don't want to say, don't look up to me, because that's, if people work with me, they know what I'm like. Like, I want to come in on, like, I'm you, like, I'm not going to present some perfect image, but you know, I really felt like a failure in that moment. Like, I really felt like a failure with my healing in that moment, and I really felt like a failure in terms of my my physical appearance. And a lot of that comes down to me being a teenager, and I had a huge amount of acne as a teenager. I don't miss the irony that it came out as hives. Like, you haven't quite dealt with this, Rach. There's another layer of this perfectionism that you really need to deal with. You know, and thinking back to being a teenager and crying and looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, I could be attractive if. Is a boy ever going to look past this stuff? All of that stuff, which, you know, when people would make comments, even nice comments trying to help me, thinking, don't you think I've tried all of this stuff? Like, I'm not stupid. Don't you think that I've tried all of this stuff to make my skin better? So, you know, it was obviously a second layer of that for me personally, with regard to really getting down and looking at how I view myself and viewing myself differently. Another thing which came up for me was that, you know, I don't need to learn the basics about knowing that it's more to do with what's on the inside than on the outside. Like, that's a real basic that I've had a handle on my whole life. And I don't judge other people's appearance by my standards. That's me for my standards. But I was watching a lot of Drag Race, and I was watching a lot of Queer Eye, because let's face it, you know, binge TV is where we're at the moment. And it really made me look again at these perfectionist issues and go, actually, you know what? Some of this isn't an issue. Why is it bad for me to want to present a nice front? Why is it bad for me to want to look nice, to want to make the best of myself? Is that really such a bad thing? I'd also very strongly tie that into being a mother as well. I could really strongly tie that into being a mother, and that was through looking at my own family and looking at that was something that you sacrificed yourself for. You sacrificed yourself for being a mum, and that included your appearance. So, you know, I haven't done that, and why should I do that? Like, that's not something that makes me happy. It makes me happy. Like, I like makeup. You know, I wish it was 1984. I wish I could put on 3 different color eyeshadows and like have my hair huge. Like, that would make me really happy. Like, you know, like the completely crispy fringe. Love it. Like, seriously, that's, if I'd be really happy with that stuff. So, you know, if I like this stuff, why am I thinking that I was overthinking the situation? As a spiritual person, my image shouldn't matter. No, as a human being, my image matters to me, and that's okay. It's okay that my image matters to me, and it's okay that I want to look good and present a good front. Like, all of that stuff's okay. So, you know, I really sort of took it apart and really looked at it. I did some really deep work around certain family members and about the sort of the issues that they had caused between me and my siblings, and even between me and my parents, and all of this type of thing. I did some really, really deep work and some deep soul searching, and it's allowed me to understand it in another level. So if any of you've got blocks or anything that you're working through at the moment, or you feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall, if you'd like a second opinion, please pop it on, or please let me know, because I'm really, really happy within this live now, or on the thread, if you're on catch up later, I'm really happy to give sort of like a second opinion. But it's really allowed me to break it down and to take it apart. What happens when we don't look at these things, when these things are staring us in the face and we keep on having these cycles and we're like, I don't understand, why is my business not doing better? Why aren't people showing up for stuff? Why is this, that, and the other happening? Then you end up with this thing where you keep banging your head against that brick wall. And I want you to know that you're choosing to bang your head against a brick wall. There is no brick wall, there is just you. And actually, just by standing away from what you're banging your head against, you're not going to bang your head against it. And it may be that you need like some time out. It may be that you just need to sit down and spend a few weeks musing, journaling, talking to people and being really honest about what's going on, and saying, this is one of my deepest fears. Another one of my deepest fears was was feeling like a failure as a businesswoman. Like, my background's in finance, and I did really well in that job. It was not a job I loved, but I did well and I was good at it. And I had a really strong moral compass, and really liked the fact that I would argue with people. And I ended up dealing with like consulting in financial complaints and things like that. So, I earned a lot of money, but it was hard work. It was really hard work, and I didn't enjoy the work. So what's the point in doing it? But I've always provided an income, and I've always been a provider around that as well, and really found a lot of passion within my work. And recently, after the sort of first part of lockdown, and the eldest two went back to school, my 2-year-old went from being sort of like a developmentally challenged, and I don't know how else to describe it, the way she is at the moment, sort of baby toddler, into a full-on toddler with additional needs, who needs a lot of work and a lot of attention and things like that. Lovely, but I realized that I really needed to focus on her. Because she really needed help with things like her speech and her being able to express herself. And isn't that odd that I was having difficulty being heard, and I was having difficulty hearing her? She could not express herself verbally, and even things that was some of the pointing and things like that, it wasn't happening. And I was like, come on, Rach, get with it. Allow this child to express herself properly. And the work that I've done, she's really started to flourish in terms of being able to physically express herself, even if half the words that she knows the numbers, and the other half, which is only about another dozen or so, are enough to kind of like get her a drink, get her some food. She's made leaps and bounds. So what's really interesting is that while I was struggling with that thing, I wasn't focusing on that existing within my own home. And I was like, okay, actually at the moment, like, my eldest son had some issues with school, which needed realigning. And that's my nice way of saying it. And my 6-year-old daughter, I spoke to the GP. It was a really big thing. And again, another massive fear. I spoke to the GP and I said, I think she's autistic. And as a girl, she's presenting completely differently. But there was a massive fear around that for me as well. Do I want to be the mum who's got all these autistic children? Like, is that something which is to do with me as a parent? You start then questioning yourself as a parent when you start looking at this. And I was just like, stuff it. This isn't about me. This is about her, and this is what's best for her. This isn't to do with my ego and how I want to be seen. Okay, and I want to be seen. This is to do with her and what is best for her. And if my 2 eldest children are autistic, then damn it, we're owning it. Okay, so I started the process for her. So I really focused on my children, and that's not to say that you've probably seen any less of me. I've just decided that I'm doing less kind of like businessy stuff and sharing stuff that I enjoy sharing on Facebook and on social media, because and even on the blog, and you'll find that I've stepped it up with the newsletter as well, sharing stuff that I love and enjoy, because I want to share my passion. If I can inject my passion back into my work, it's going to make my work a lot easier, rather than feeling it's a job. And I was getting back to the stage where it felt like a job rather than feeling like it was my passion. So actually focusing on the children forced me to view again my work in a different way, and to take that down to a different level. And it's allowed me to kind of like show my personality a little bit more. That whole thing about kind of like showing these imperfections on my face actually allowed me to go, you know what, like actually that's the worst that can happen. And you know, I am a bit of a goofball, and I am silly, and you know, I do mess around, like, you know, like my house, I like my house to be full of laughter and everyone just being like silly. That's me. So you are going to find more and more silly stuff on my thread. You're going to find more stuff about the kids on my thread as well, and about what we're working through as a family. So you know, that's allowing my family to be seen and my real life situation to be seen, because it's not just me and my work that I'm juggling and, you know, wanting to help you guys. It's also that this is stuff that I do every day, that every single day I help my children. And that's allowing me to show that part of my life as well, that it isn't just about me helping paying clients, that actually I've been given these talents because I have got some amazing children who are going to need a bridge between their world and this current reality that we're living in. And that bridge is me. So you know, it's allowed me to see my talents and my gifts in a different way, simply by focusing on my youngest child. My youngest child, by the way, who's completely turned everything up, even with her dad, and like forcing a whole bonding situation with him because she was early and I was ill. Like she's some sort of like she is Baby Yoda. Like, is anyone else watching Mandalorian? She is the Baby Yoda. Just as cute. She's not eating no frogs. It does tend to be mostly cake that she's interested in, which her older brother and sister tend to sneak her quite a bit of. So you know, she has completely flipped our lives around. And again, this year she has given me a whole different focus on myself and my work. And as a result of that, my hives have calmed down. My hives have calmed down. So when we're looking at healing, when we're looking at manifestation, physical layer is generally the last, you know, layer that stuff affects. So I can feel that if it's my mindset's resolved, you know, the spiritual issue's been resolved, so my mindset's been resolved, my emotions have been resolved, and then my physicality isn't affected anymore. So you know, I can see that that's a really strong forward progression. Rio has said she's had the same kind of year too. She's out on the other side. Yes, that's how I felt. I'm really interested to know two things. How many of you are empaths and healers who have had issues around being seen or being heard? Okay, got a real interest in that. If you're a sensitive soul who's, you know, actually, why am I not being seen? Why am I not being heard? What's going on with that? The other thing is, I'd like to know if you felt the shift over the last couple of weeks. And it might be that sometimes you're still living in that other world, and sometimes you're coming back to this reality that you've created. You know, might be the fifth dimension, like settling in a little bit, where you feel like, actually, I'm on the other side. Like, this has been cruddy, but I am on the other side of this, and things can only get better. I've had some friends face massive fears around failures around businesses as well, not just my husband, other people that I know, they've come out the other side and gone, like, I don't quite know yet. Hello, Claire. I don't quite know yet where I am, but actually, do you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Like, I faced my fear, and really, nothing's actually happened. Nothing's gone wrong. You know, the thing that I thought, which was that the world was going to blow up or whatever it was, you know, my heart was going to die of embarrassment or shame or whatever these emotions were that we'd fixed to whatever this fear was. It's not there anymore. And I'm free of that because I've absolutely faced it and I've gone through it. So at the moment, this is a point of spirit and of the universe And our higher selves, like I'm a big believer that our subconscious knows what's best for us, even when we consciously don't. And when I talk about what's best for us, I mean best for our physical selves and best for our higher self, because have no mistake, your higher self, the universe will take a lesson from any piece of crud that you go through. You know, have a conversation with Odin. Like, he gave up his eye for wisdom. You can take beauty and you can take a lesson out of every single thing that you do. But actually, as a human being, there's still relative terms around what feels good and what feels bad. And I would much rather live in the feel good area. The feel bad area is there. Like, it's there. It's really there and it's real, and we have to deal with it. We don't ignore it. We live it, we feel it, we walk through it, we get help and we cry and we scream, and then we come out the other side and go, oh my God, I think I'm kind of coming through this. You know, we deal with all of those negative emotions, but I would much rather live with and live in the real emotions. And by addressing ourselves as a grounded human being, and that's what grounded means, we're not sacrificing ourselves over for higher self-learning or for the universe learning all of these lessons. When we address our actual human needs, we bring balance. So that is a really big thing that empaths need to really know. Emma MMM has said she's really fought herself on the decision to take on her dream business. She does feel like, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Not saying it's easy, but I don't know why. I fought it. I looked for reasons not to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Like, when it came to publishing my book, and I want to say my first book, which is really interesting. So I have to watch space on another book. When it came to publishing my first book, I was like, shit, this is what I wanted to do my whole life. What if this isn't like a bestseller? What if this, and of course it wasn't a bestseller, because it's just me putting out my version of me. Like, when, like, my work is me, you know, that you get me a little slice of me in a book, or, you know, I was going to say on a plate, but that doesn't sound too attractive. You get a little slice of me maybe in a book or in the therapy or in the healing. And what if this, people don't like it? What if it's a piece of garbage? What? And I got a really, really positive response to it. And all of you guys who love me and work with me have been so supportive in terms of that book and of dealing with it. So Emma, I totally know what you mean. It's like this big thing where, like, I sat with the book for a couple of months out of fear. Like, I didn't want to put it out there because this is scary. Like, this is my thing. This is actually something which I knew at 12 years old that I wanted to be a writer. But because of advice or comments or actions of other people, I decided not to do that. I decided that I obviously wasn't a creative writer, which is bullshit. So, you know, and again, which is really interesting, I've stepped into my creativity, my creative writing in another way. If any of you are on my blog, I've started a new series which are channeled fiction stories from the Banshee. I don't think they're fiction. I actually think that they are her experiences. Like, I would like to point that out. And you can tell from the way that I talk that when you read that stuff, it's not me, it is channeled, which is how most writing is done, by the way, whether we know it or not. So, you know, I have got some, you know, I have stepped into the writing in a different way, which is really, really fascinating. So I know that thing where, I mean, you kind of like sit with it, you make it bigger, you make it bigger, you make it bigger, you're like, oh my God, like, it's so stressful. But it's stressful because it's sat there, it's sat in front of you, and like you say, you're fighting it, you're banging your head against this brick wall that you've created, which is this thing, rather than embracing it and taking it on and moving forward with it. And the biggest thing about fears is facing them and moving through them. And sometimes it's difficult to do alone. Sometimes you need support. Sometimes you need to talk to your friends and say, I really want to do this. I need your support. I need you to be my cheerleader. Where's your pom-poms? You know, I need you to like, check in on me over the next couple of weeks and give me a kick up the bum about things. You know, I need you to push me. I need you to push me forward. And I think for a lot of empaths, we're probably a little bit more independent than other people. If you're an empath, I'd really like to know if that resonates with you. If you're a little bit more independent than other people and used to taking the world on your shoulders, so you're not used to reaching out for help. So Emma, I think you could probably take that as well. And actually, you know what, Emma, you've done amazingly. Like, you have taken on something big. You're moving forward with it. I'm seriously, I'm so happy for you. I'm so pleased for you. I don't want to say I'm proud of you because it sounds a little bit condescending, like I'm your mum, but I'm not. You know, I'm one of your peers. So, you know, I'm so mega, like my heart is full for you and your current situation. Rio has added in. Um, Rio said, I love this. All of us are on a journey and it's not going to end anytime soon. We might as well enjoy it. I completely agree. Like, I completely agree. I'm all about joy-based living, all about finding those little sparks of joy, even in folding your washing, and you know which series I've been watching. Claire's got my pom-poms. Yeah, Claire, you got my pom-poms. High five, Emma. No, seriously, Emma, like, you're welcome, because, you know, it is, I know that you've been going through it. And it's really difficult. It is difficult. Okay, I'm just trying to scan my brain and see if, which is basically me checking in with my guides to say if there's anything else that I need to add into this. Okay, I don't know why they're asking me to talk to you about this, but they have. They've basically just said to me, how many other people have been doing a huge amount of clearance work? If there's anyone out there who's a healer, anyone out there who's a spiritual medium, if you're coming along across more lost souls than before. Oh, okay, they've just told me why. So empaths, we need to be aware that we are not just shifting our own shit, we're also shifting the shit of spirits who are still very grounded and very much living an earthly life, or very much attached to their earthly life. And they don't know how to move on for it because they are afraid to move forward. So this is where facing their fears come from. So and as an empath, you'll know that sometimes you kind of feel a bit angry for no reason. And you might think, oh, okay, there's actually spirit around. The spirit hasn't got anything to do with me. Let's call it an angel. Time to move on, mate. That type of a thing. I would like to know how many of you are coming across that a little bit more. I have. I've been coming across it in waves. And it might also be worth you guys knowing that if you're wondering why you've been fluctuating quite a bit, it will be because you're partly processing spirit and helping spirit move on. I have installed, and by installed I mean I have energetically placed, with the power of my mind, a gateway at the bottom of my garden, so if any spirits come in, because, you know, this is a big shiny beacon here, come in, that they've got a gateway to walk through. And I have had this really amazing guide who is a World War II proper British, like, moustache with the flat cap captain, and he is very good at talking to people and bringing them through. I tend to have a lot from spirits from sort of like the First and Second World War coming through, and I think that's probably why he comes through, because it's easier for him to deal with that. And I've got the same thing attached to the front as well, so that if we come in, and the kids have been picking up a lot of child spirits as well. Like, I had, I'm not kidding, like, I think hundreds in the kids' bedroom, and I couldn't work out what was going on for some time. And my son always has had a habit of picking up, that they all have, I can't say it's just my son, they've all had a habit of picking up kids' spirits. So it's like, it took about 3 or 4 days to clear out the kids that were kind of like hiding in upstairs, and they felt really safe. Like, these kids felt safe. Like, I'm a mum, you know, there's a mum who likes spirit, like, they're not, you know, they're not in trouble here. They don't quite know what to do, and all these spirits, the children had obviously attracted each other. Then there was a very strong orphanage feeling about part of it as well. So I don't know where we've been, and the kids had obviously picked my son. I remember at about 2 years old telling me he was bringing Timmy home in the car, and I was like, okay, bring Timmy home in the car, he can spend the day with us. Where's Timmy's mummy? I don't know, I will find her, and that is when Timmy will go home. Is that okay? Yes. So, you know, those conversations have always happened in our household. And that was him playing in a church graveyard, by the way. And so, you know, I'm not surprised. I mean, Alice, I've had Alice as a baby clear rooms out, connecting to dragons as well, at about 1 year old. So, you know, because I know what to pick up on with the kids, it's a little bit easier. Claire's saying she's been helping with souls move on. Yes, you have been. Country roads. Yeah, we've had those conversations where all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, this is here. And moving it on. Ria has said, oh my God, my whole year was just this. I just got help with that, and it's so much better. I couldn't do it myself. it is tough. It is tough. And I think what's really difficult at the moment is where we're not meeting up physically, but we're meeting up energetically, and this is an energetic meetup. It's not the same. So I would run like a psychic group once a month around a coffee and some cards and things like that. I would run the healing circle once a month in the evening. Everyone get together and create some nice vibe and some nice healing. That stuff would come up. Like we'd talk about that stuff, and people would say, "Oh my God, I think that there's a spirit in my house," and we would go and clear that house. I mean, last summer, David and I had like this amazing summer, which we planned to do this year, where we obviously didn't happen, where we did field work, where we went out to places. Like one of the girls had said, "There's this thing at the bottom of my garden. I think it's a sacred space." What's going? We cleared so much. Like we did so much clearance last year, and this year it's felt like it's really needed, and we haven't been able to physically do it. And I've just been doing it randomly as I've been going around, like saying to my husband, like, "Can you just like walk around the block with the kids and come back in a second? I'm just going to have a conversation in my head." You know, or my husband picking up and going, "Stuff feels a bit weird here." If he feels it's weird, then there's definitely a problem. So absolutely, Rio, trying to get that help and asking other people for help, asking other healers, spiritual mediums, that type of thing. And if you're looking for help, try and get somebody who's a spiritual medium and a healer who does both, not one or the other. You'll get a really good balance if you're trying to talk to somebody like that. And sometimes it's like having those extra techniques, or even just that extra gumption. Like, I mean, I do a lot of work with my friend David, and like sometimes he'll say stuff like, "Oh, I didn't even think of that. Of course, that's obvious. Yeah, it's a really good point." So you just kind of need that bounce back sometimes. And I don't particularly, especially if something's heavy, like I really don't want to do that crap by myself. Sometimes I do, and it's not fun. But I'd much rather do that with somebody else. And meeting in circle and meeting up with friends, you generally get to do that, which we haven't had as much ability to do. Claire, I miss healing circle too. Emma's just said Finky's talking about a random kid in his room, which she assumed was imaginary. It's either a guide or it will be oh no, it's definitely a spirit. So if anyone is watching this who's got a kid who's got an imaginary friend, it will either be a guide or a spirit. And if you don't know, get a recommendation for somebody who can help, who's helped before. I personally do spiritual house clearances for donation only. Like, I think it's a really important thing that happens, and I know lots of people whose lives' emotional energy has been changed because they've had spirits within their home, or spirits attached to a sensitive, even teenager. As teenagers are very emotional, and emotions allow attachments to happen a lot easier. So if you're an empath, you're more likely to get attachments, and especially emotional teenagers, they're much more likely to get attachments because of the up and down anyway. Most of them accidentally feed into that up and down and make it worse. And sometimes they're actually trying to help, and sometimes it's just that they don't know what to do and they're stuck. And there's this shiny, bright youngster who's quite sensitive, and it's nice to be around them, and they don't know what to do, and that happens. Yes, please drop me a message, and I'm really happy to kind of like tune into that. So really interesting that you guys have been picking up on that as well. So thank you, Spirit, for letting me know with the conversation in my head that this is a general thing that a lot of us are going through. So what I would like to do is probably to do some field work as soon as we can, probably from about April, and that might be an ongoing thing where once a month some guys meet up, and it might be we go to somebody's house who's having issues, it might be that we go to a piece of land where we're having issues and try and clear it through. And I might, seeing if that goes well, do a virtual one. We'll see. It needs the support of people turning up for them. So and people are much more likely to turn up for something physical than something virtual often. So right, my lovelies, I hope that there's that you've taken something from this evening. I didn't know what I was going to do this week until Ghostbusters. Yeah baby, who are you going to call? Don't cross the streams. I'm not going to go there. If you are watching on catch up and you want to add some comments in, do. If you guys have got any other thoughts before I go, please shout them out. I hadn't thought of this theme until it was suggested this week by Nikki, because of all of the conversations that we've had about facing our fears and the shadow work that we've had to do on a whole other level this year. I am Rhoda, which makes sense then, Claire, for Aoife being Baby Yoda. Like if I'm Rhoda, Baby Yoda, I think those two things are happening. And what was I going to say? I don't know. Things that I have coming up over the next few weeks. I've got a free lecture next month about kids with emotions and essential oils. And in January, which I've got not on Facebook, but I should really put it on Facebook, but it is on the website. You will definitely find links to it on the posts on Facebook, is my Not Any Old Tarot course. So it's not any old tarot course because it's a kick-ass tarot course. So it is for either beginners or those with experience looking to move through to actually reading for people. And you've got the experience of myself, the experience of David. You're going to get knowledge about the cards. And the really important thing that a lot of people miss out on their courses, it's not just what the cards mean, your personal connection to the cards, your personal connection to your psychic, spiritual ability and your intuition. So every week there will be knowledge, tuning into your personal knowledge, and there will be psychic and spiritual development practice as well around the tarot. And the reason, and any tarot deck, it can be any tarot deck, because we will tell you how to decipher, even if you've haven't got a Rider-Waite, how to decipher it and apply it to you, because we're going to be talking about the deck and what it means to you, not what that deck means to me or somebody who's written a book. David and I kind of got fed up of other people's courses being a book, which they, it's something that they've kind of read in books and put out, and really missing that spiritual and personal connection. And David and I are both professional readers who've been reading for a while, and we want to give advice about how to deal with people and all of that other stuff that often gets missed out. How to speak to people, that you don't just open your mouth and say the first thing that comes out, because it could be something really personal. How do you approach these things? So yeah. Thank you, Claire. Tarot course, bitches, be cool and do it. Yeah, bitches, there's a tarot course. Thank you, Claire. Claire recommends us. It will be a fun course, and for the first, there's still a couple of places left, the first 6 sign-ups. There's divining crystals, which will be sent out as a gift for the first 6 sign-ups. So there are still a couple of spaces left on that. So if you would like a really cool Christmas present that will actually help you, and if you want something to spend your Christmas money on, like, this would be a really good thing to go for. Really reasonably priced. It's £85. It's 8 lessons and 8 home study sections as well. You've got 8 home study sections. So that's that course, which we're really we're proper excited about, because we haven't got to do anything with anyone for ages. So you're just going to get like loads of it, and we're not serious. We don't take ourselves seriously. You're not going to get a load of ego when you come in, but you are going to get a lot of experience, a lot of laughter, and a lot of honest connection. Okay, ladies and gents, thank you, Claire. I am gonna skedaddle, make a move. Enjoy your weekend. Don't get up to anything too crazy. We're in tier 2 lockdown, so I might, I might break the rules. I might sort of like stick my head in my neighbour's house and just shout at them. Oh no, I can't. I won't do that. I won't do that. Don't do anything too crazy. Don't drink yourself into oblivion because you're bored. I've got plenty of healing videos if you want to go back and look at some of the healing videos if you're actually looking to do some work on yourself over this weekend. But I will be getting all comfy and cozy. I've got a couple of clients this weekend, and then I'll be getting all comfy and cozy with the kids. I want to go out and look at Christmas lights and all of that fun stuff. We've already done all of our Christmas trees, so yeah, Yule and all of that stuff, baby. So next Friday I have got divine channeled message. I think, yes, I have. Next Friday I have got divine channeled message. I don't know who's coming in yet. It might be nice for them to tell me right now. And the Friday afterwards I have got divine healing service, and I think that should pretty much take us up to the end of the month. So next Friday is let me just check the dates, because I don't want you missing it. So next Friday is the 11th, and that will be Divine Channeled Message. And the 18th will be the last one, and I'm going to have a bit of a Christmas breaky, and we will be doing Divine Healing Service. I've got some old Divine Healing Services on here, which are not old because time and space do not exist when it comes to healing. So go back and have a look at them. Some of them are fab. Oh, there's a man, and I don't know who he is. He's looking to come through for a channeled message next week. I've got a feeling he's an Irish god who I'm going to have to check out who he is. So it probably next week messages is going to be, oh, he's just said non-toxic masculine. So we're going to be looking at balanced masculine. It's not going to be my words. It's going to be channeled messages from, I would think, some of the gods and goddesses of Europe and the British Isles and Ireland. So that should be fun, because if I don't know what to expect, you guys don't know what to expect either. And that's the way that I do my channeled messages. They're always genuine. Right, I am actually going now. I will stop talking. You can blame my Irish ancestry for me never shutting my gob. Thank you so much. Bye, my lovelies.